So, first question, knowledge check. Process design happens in stage one. Is this true or is this false? So now we're going to part three, other regulatory and industry initiatives. So here we'll discuss the impact of guidance documents and describe ICH's contribution to process validation concept. So the 2006 FDA publishes guidance for industry quality systems approach to pharmaceutical CGMP regulations. Establish modern quality concepts. So the guidance for industry, they published this to give you a modern quality concept. So you can easily Google this guidance document to get an understanding of the regulatory and industry initiatives. So quality by design or QBD, what does this mean? So this is designing and developing a product and associated manufacturing processes that we use to ensure consistent attainment of predefined product quality. So you're just assuring your product quality, which your quality by design principle. So your quality systems approach. So quality risk management is a valuable and effective component of quality systems framework used to help guide the settings of specifications and process parameters for drug manufacturing, assess and mitigate the risk of changing a process or specification, and determine the extent of discrepancy in investigations and corrective actions. So these are how quality risk management can help guide you in helping to solve discrepancies and to help mitigate risk within your process. So some other regulatory initiatives are established, or these are established modern quality concepts. So you have CAPA, corrective action, preventative action, and change control. So as you're going through your process and you're finding errors, um, and you're finding deviations, and you're solving these deviations, you want to implement CAPAs, corrective action, preventive actions. How can you corrective action? What are you doing to correct the action, and what are you doing to prevent it? So you need to document that and implement that. And then you have change controls. Let's say you have your process, but you want to make changes to it to improve it. You just can't change it all willy nilly. You have to go through a change control process, present it to more likely a board that assesses your change, tries to figure out, okay, is this within your scope? Does it need to be? You need to go through a whole revalidation, or can you just test it within your current validation? So you need to outline the changes, determine the risk, and evaluate the potential impact of the change. So these are different quality systems set up as you're in your PQ stage. So you have your ICH or your International Council of Harmonization. So this was established in the 1990 as the International Council for Harmonization of Technical Requirements for Pharmaceuticals for Human Use. So it brings together the regulatory authorities and the pharmaceutical industry to discuss scientific and technical aspects of drug registration. So that's the purpose of the ICH or International Council of Harmonization. Um, so the founding members of it, so the regulatory bodies consist of the EMA, MHLW, and FDA, and the industry groups, EFPIA, JPMA, and PHRMA, and the observers are the WHO, Health Canada, and EFTA. So these are all the people who are part of this ICH. So of course you see that FDA is involved, Europeans involved, Japanese. So it's a very widely regarded organization. Present participants. So you have your founding members, observers, global cooperation groups. So your Asia Pacific Economic Cooperation, Association of the Southeast Asian Nations, Gulf Cooperation Council, Pan American Network for Drug Regulatory Harmonization, Southern African Development Community, so also Australian, Brazil, China, Chinese, India, Republic of Korea, Russia, Singapore, Taipei, they're all involved, are participants in the ICH. So it's a global organization, and they have a lot of regulatory bodies from different countries involved. So some other regulatory industry initiatives, so quality guidelines. So you have conduct of stability studies, define relevant thresholds for impurities testing, pharmaceutical quality-based GMP risk management, and analytical methods validation. And then you have your safety guidelines, so guidelines for risks like genotoxicity, reprotoxicity, carcinogenicity, and then non-clinical testing strategy for assessing the QT interval, um, prolongation liability. So these are other quality guidelines, other safety guidelines. Again, these are all intended to help reduce the risk to the patient. So you also have efficacy guidelines. So you're concerned with design, conduct, safety, reporting of clinical trials, and novel types of medicines. Then you have multidisciplinary guidelines. So topics really not fit uniquely into one of the above categories. So it includes ICH and MED-DRA, CTD or Common Technical Document, and ESTRI. So again, more initiatives of regulatory guidelines, again, to ensure safety of the patient. So some CGMP advances through ICH. So you have ICH Q7, good manufacturing products guidance for active pharmaceutical ingredients. So it defines all operations of receipt of materials, production, packaging, repackaging, labeling, relabeling, quality control, release, storage, distribution of APIs. You have your validation policy should be documented. A written validation protocol should be established for each process to be validated and reviewed and approved by designated units. And your validation protocol should specify critical process steps, acceptance criteria, and type of validation to be conducted. So these are your guidelines around your validation, your policy, your validation protocol. So this is the CGMPs around that. So CGMP advances through ICH. Uh, so, so the types of process validation is revalidation, retrospective, concurrent, and prospective. So these are the different types of validation that it covers. It's not just initial validation, but it's revalidation, retrospective, concurrent, and prospective validation. So we'll go through each type of validation. So revalidation is considered when there's a change in the system and based on the risk to product safety. So it could be a new equipment being introduced or raw materials being introduced. So you have to go through a revalidation to test to see how this will interact with your whole process. Then you have your retrospective validation. So this is validating a system that has been operating for some time. So if a system is in a state of control, historical data can be used. Data from 10 or 30 consecutive batches needed, but this is not usually accepted by FDA anymore. So this is type of validation, but it seems like it's not accepted, but it could be used. But if you hear retrospective validation, this is what it means. Then you have concurrent validation. So this means it's being conducted in parallel with routine production. So process is the same as prospective, can be used in cases of an urgent public health need. Validation reports should be prepared, periodic review of validated systems conducted, and cleaning procedures and analytical methods should be validated. So concurrent validation means that you're producing, but you're also conducting a validation run. Usually, maybe in a case where the COVID vaccine needed to be produced, they did it concurrently, just to be able to get it out sooner to the population. And then you have prospective validation, and this is establishing documented evidence prior to process implementation that system performed as intended. So that's the fourth and last type of validation is prospective.